the Breach Radio program with Bishop Sherwin R. Thomas on The Street 919 FM every Sunday from 10:05 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on The Street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on The Street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845-349-5178 or 342-7303.
Good about I'm looking like it real bad.
Are you ready for that boat experience again? The Sea Champion and the Embassy say, book with us for that unforgettable boat ride experience. Sea Champion leaving from King's Wharf, San Fernando, and the Embassy leaving from Breakfast Shed, Port of Spain, or Westside Trinidad. For more information, call 399-595-9, 281-4723, or email us at coralvisiontt@gmail.com. Book now and reserve your cruise.
Hey, that boat I look like it's as well.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Broadcasting from Trinidad to the world. The Street 919fm.com. News from the Street 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on The Street 919 FM and online Facebook and YouTube on Iwer TV. In the headlines, former Prime Minister Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar believes Trinidad and Tobago is suffering under an oppressive government. Tobago needs to mash some toes to forge ahead, says TAJ Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. Woman shot and killed in Santa Cruz, and internationally UK supermarket chain offers free food to staff over the winter season to help with the high cost of living. And now the news in detail. Opposition leader Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar believes that Trinidad and Tobago is suffering under what she calls an oppressive PNM government. She made the harsh remark in her Independence Day address to the nation. The former one-term Prime Minister says TNT has come a long way since its independence, but its people are still being oppressed. She stated that while there is much that we can be proud of as a nation, the stark reality is that Trinidad and Tobago is still in a state of dominated control under an oppressive regime. According to Persad-Bissessar, for 40 of the 60 years of independence, the People's National Movement was in charge, and the country, in her opinion, has deteriorated. Persad-Bissessar said during the 11 years under the United National Congress, there was significant economic growth and prosperity, lower crime rates, higher education participation and opportunities for young people, and overall a better quality of life. In other news, THA Chief Secretary Farley Augustine says it's time Tobago make some progressive steps and forge ahead. He said so in his independence speech at the Shaw Park Cultural Complex in Tobago. Augustine said it won't be easy and the sister island will have to step on some toes in stepping forward, but they are ready to mash and move forward. Augustine explained that this would mean Tobago has to deviate from some things that have become traditional and adopt some new approaches. He said no country ever gets to a progressive state without taking bold moves. The TAJ chief stated that he hopes in the 60th year of independence, Tobago is ready to take bolder moves. He also reiterated his call for a resolution on Tobago's self-governance. In more news, a 28-year-old woman was shot dead on Independence morning in Santa Cruz. Cruz. Ashley Morris of Brasso Seco Road, Santa Cruz, was found bleeding from multiple bullet wounds by residents of Lacana Road following a series of gunshot explosions. A 28-year-old man, said to be a relative of another man who was shot the day before in the area, was also shot in his left leg. Internationally, a supermarket chain in the UK, John Lewis and Waitrose, are offering staff free food from October to January to help with the cost of living. The meals during work hours are for permanent staff, known as partners, as well as temporary and agency workers. Andrew Murphy, Chief Operations Officer at the John Lewis Partnership, said its workers make the difference. Soaring food costs have pushed UK inflation to 10.1%, with prices continuing to rise at their fastest rate for more than 40 years. Staying on the international scene, a 20-month-old child has died in Spain after being struck on the head by a hailstone. About 50 other people reported injuries ranging from bruises to bone fractures from the freak 10-minute storm that hit the Girona region of Catalonia on Tuesday evening. The hailstorm also destroyed roofs, downed power cables and shattered windows. And that was the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube, recapping the headlines. Former Prime Minister Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar believes Trinidad and Tobago is suffering under an oppressive government. Tobago needs to mash some toes to forge ahead, says TAJ Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. Woman shot and killed in Santa Cruz. And internationally, UK supermarket chain offers free food to staff over the winter season to help with the high cost of living. On behalf of the Street 919 FM, we do apologize for Pastor Google not being here with us today, but we have a replay of the glorious Independence Day parade yesterday that we're going to show to you again right now.
Naval officers from the street disqualified as a principal warfare officer from the warfare school in the United Kingdom.
Yes, DK, so that is typically a course for members of the Royal Navy in the United Kingdom. And Commander King was one of the first of our students to ever attend or to ever be allowed or the opportunity to attend that program.
During the staging of the Independence Day parades, all of those 60 years.
So we again have a shot of Captain Don Polo. He is currently the acting Vice Chief of Defense Staff. Substantively, he's the commanding officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. He has just called the parade to attention for the arrival of the next dignitary.
And that should be the acting Chief Justice.
We stand for the arrival of the Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Justice Nolan Bureau.
So the parade commander is according each dignitary the respect of bringing the parade to attention on their arrival and acknowledging their presence.
So while we have the parade commander bringing the armed forces to attention, or actually all the parade,
both the
everyone on the parade square. We also have the house announcer asking the guests in attendance to do so as well. And we now have the acting Chief Justice, Honorable Mr. Justice Nolan Bureau, and he will be met by the Minister of National Security and the Chief of Protocol. This is what we're seeing at this point in time.
And we have another motorcade approaching. The next scheduled arrival would be that of...
Should be the Prime Minister.
That's right. And I am aware that we have a guest for this Independence Parade.
Most definitely. And I think this is also significant in the sense that Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago share so much history, and even the month of August to the year that we would have achieved independence. So the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Holness, has been invited by Dr. Keith Rowley, our Prime Minister, to be part of the proceedings. So he would have journeyed from Jamaica to Trinidad and Tobago. So he should be as part of the contingent as well this morning. So we're looking forward to that arrival.
Definitely, and we see them coming on screen here now.
Not only to participate in the parade itself.
The Prime Minister is the last dignitary to arrive before the arrival of Her Excellency.
Just before independence, and
it is not usual that we would have a guest, so this is also significant that the Prime Minister of Jamaica is on parade and coming here to witness our independence parade.
For the arrival of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and Mrs. Sharon Rowley.
So we have the vehicle being pulled up. The parade commander still has the parade at attention.
And that row from the audience in attendance or the public in attendance was accompanying the notification of who this guest or who this dignitary was.
Yes. So the audience showed the appreciation to the arrival of the Prime Minister.
So there we see the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, being greeted by the Minister of National Security. And he has greeted the audience, and we're seeing even little children in attendance showing their appreciation for him at this point in time.
Yes. And here we have Her Excellency being queued up. And it's interesting to note that typically all the dignitaries would arrive beforehand and essentially line up to be able to come onto the parade in a very structured and scripted manner, because the timeline is everything.
Definitely, and we see mounted personnel actually accompanying Her Excellency.
Yes. So she's been escorted by her honor guard, her escort from the mounted branch of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Please acknowledge the arrival of Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
So we have Her Excellency coming onto the parade.
Commander-in-Chief is here. So we look for we should have a shot of the breaking of the flag shortly. Oh, it's already broken.
It's already broken. So it would have happened when she came onto the square.
And that's one of the things I appreciate in terms of the precision that accompanies events of this nature, and things that timed down to the minute, possibly even further. And there we have a shot of that.
Yes. So as soon as Her Excellency would have come onto the parade square, that would have been good. So we're now playing the national anthem on the arrival of Her Excellency. The parade would have been giving Her Excellency a presidential salute. That salute is reserved only for the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and we would see
later on finding new nuance and meaning in it at this point in time, the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago.
Definitely, and the bands would have played that rendition of the anthem.
Excellency the President and report on the parade.
So the parade commander is going to approach Her Excellency to make his report. We should see that shortly. The mounted guard is marching off to take up their position. And we have the parade commander reporting to Her Excellency, and then she's going to invite her to inspect the troops on parade.
do a bit of lip reading there and we see the word inspection, so
Yes.
that falls right in line with what it is you're saying.
So they're now proceeding.
And while this is happening,
reflecting our 60th
we're seeing Her
year,
Excellency followed by the parade commander. The mounted escort has actually shifted off to the side. And is there a particular side that they're on?
When they enter the parade, it's usually from the right side. They would take a position on the left, and then it would be the opposite on departing.
We have given the world Janelle Penny Camision, Giselle Laurent West, and Wendy Fitzwilliams. We have given the world the steel
So we see
man,
the vehicle coming
Calypso,
around
Soka,
to drive past
Chucky,
and
the
begin
mighty
the
Spark,
inspection.
Lord Kitchener, Calypso Rose, the Mighty Shadow, Ricky Jai, Mungal Patasa, Bunji Garland Sundar Popo, Marshall Montano, Kes Defantala, and Destra. We have given the world oil, gas, sugar, cocoa, carnival, Tantan and Saga Boy.
We're seeing the inspection taking place at this point in time.
We have given
The president moving along the front rank of each detachment.
60.
So the inspection is moving past. The officers on board the aide-de-camp is saluting along with the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Vice Marshal Darrell Daniel. They are accompanying Her Excellency on the inspection. They salute as they pass the consecrated colors out of respect for the color.
National Safety Brigade, the Red Cross, St. Patrick Voluntary Brigade, and the St. John Ambulance Brigade have given unstinted service every year to the Independence Day Parade effort. In the case of St. John Ambulance Brigade and
So at the end of the inspection, what is supposed to happen when the parade commander is returning to the saluting dais?
In addition to providing staff,
Her Excellency has completed her inspection. They will return both Her Excellency and the parade commander to the position where he reported, and he would once again report and request permission to carry on with the rest of the parade. She's now moving on to the rear half of the parade. Her Excellency's vehicle is now driving past the second half of the parade, or the rear half of the parade.
Ladies and gentlemen, over the 60 years of Independence Day parades, let us not forget that at the dawn of the 1980s, the first female detachment soldiers graced the parade grounds here at Queen's Park, Savannah. It brought a new and refreshing touch, and it has been a permanent feature.
So during the inspection, the entire parade remains at attention. So they all have to be as still as possible without any movements to ensure that there's no, as we call it, idle movements while Her Excellency is passing by.
Even more so as Her Excellency is passing some of those groupings that would have never been part of this parade. So I can only imagine the feeling that the emotions that they are feeling at this point in time.
During the tenure of Mr. Randolph Charles as Commissioner of Prison, our prison service colleagues have always been very keen and enthusiastic on parade, and their music band is in large measure responsible for this. Well done, Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. Her Excellency returns to saluting days. Remember that the fascinating feature of the Independence Day parade, as far as loyal citizens are concerned, is the presence of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, always attired in their blinding red trinkets and uniforms. The Fire Service captures a special appeal, particularly among the very young in our midst. The musical band of the Fire Service has grown from strength to strength, especially as it relates to the superior quality of their wide-ranging renditions on and off the parade square.
East Indians, the parade commander will request Her Excellency's permission to carry on with the remainder of the parade.
So we see here the parade commander is going to report to Her Excellency. He's saluting, that is a salute with the sword. And he's going to request permission to carry on with the remainder of the parade from Her Excellency.
So once again we see that very ceremonial salute. Looking forward to it, and different individuals have different parts that they really love in this event. So we have the march past that will be coming on momentarily.
Yes. So the parade commander is now about to give those words of command to the parade, and he's going to instruct the parade to march past in order of the detachments, and the officers in command of each detachment will march them off and around, and they will come around the parade square and do the eyes right in just prior to arriving at the position of Her Excellency to salute as they march past.
So we see they're actually assuming a closer order at this point in time.
Yes, so they're being dressed in close order in preparation for the march past.
And when they're marching past, they do so past Her Excellency.
Past Her Excellency. So they're going to have number 1 detachment, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment male detachment. They're going to be the first detachment leading off. They're going to march off to our left, their right, and they're going to come around the parade square on the western end and then head eastwards towards the position Her Excellency's vehicle is in. And as they march past, they are going to salute. So they've just shouldered arms from the order in preparation to march off.
And they're going to do so in individuals, in intervals rather.
In their detachments, that's right. So we see them turning right now. So you see the color parties. Color parties cannot turn, and color parties move as a in unison. So the members cannot individually turn, etc. So they all move as a single entity. And we see the words of command being given by the detachment commander of the first detachment. And there they go, stepping off.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the march past of the troops led by the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment.
So we have the parade second in command. He will maintain position off of the first detachment as they come around and march and ride, in his case, in tandem with that first detachment. Then we have all the successive detachments. This is the female detachment of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the march past of the colors.
So the march past is taking place, the colors is coming around. And as we hear the house announcer, the persons in the stands are being invited to stand out of respect for the colors. And we have the
first detachment marching past Her Excellency.
And we see here that they are looking to the right. They have saluted to the right as they come past. And now we have the Coast Guard's color party in view.
Please remain standing for the march past of the Coast Guardians.
And the female detachment of the regiment, number 2 detachment, is passing Her Excellency.
before you the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard.
And we have the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard coming into view. Followed by the Trinidad and Tobago Reserve in their distinctive red berets.
The Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard.
And we have the female detachment of the Coast Guard passing Her Excellency here. Closely followed by the Air Guard. And we see the Air Guard.
The red berets before you, the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves.
And we see they're keeping those intervals of 30 paces.
Definitely, it's a very difficult thing to do.
They are followed closely by the
music playing and heat of the day, but they always try to keep the spacing and the intervals as consistent as possible.
The police service colors.
And we have the Trinidad and
Independence Day Parade.
Tobago Police Service. For the first time, their colors are on the Independence Day Parade.
A momentous occasion for them as well on this Diamond Jubilee.
Indeed, indeed. And for a few years
warm appreciation for our youths, the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force.
And we now have the female detachment of the police service, followed by the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. These young persons are very patriotic, very much love to be on parade, to be part of the spectacle.
And we see them passing, being acknowledged by Her Excellency.
Yes, so we have the male detachment and there's a color party, and then the female detachment of the cadet force. In view now, we have the second half of the parade coming into the square, which is the unarmed contingent.
And that would also
Ladies and gentlemen, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service.
Leading off, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service.
And it seems as though the fire service always gets a little extra love.
It seems that they're indeed a crowd pleaser.
And the fact that we're moving from armed to unarmed detachment may explain part of the reason that there was an interval a little longer than 30 paces.
Yes, so how they would have been arranged on the parade square, the frontal view would have only been showing the armed contingents, because the unarmed contingents would have been to the rear of them. So now that they're marching past, everyone is going to march past in their respective detachments. So they're now giving the salute to Her Excellency.
Show your appreciation for the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service.
We have the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service coming into view. They're now approaching. And they've given the eyes right to Her Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and saluted as they march past.
Special Reserve Police.
We now have a detachment of the Trinidad and Tobago Special Reserve Police. These officers are not armed on the parade. They form part of the unarmed contingent.
The Municipal Police Force.
And we have the Municipal Police Force as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Of them would be Assistant Superintendent of Police L. Ayong.
Yes. So in view we have the traffic warden detachment.
Ladies and gentlemen, traffic wardens.
And Traffic Warden Supervisor M. Springer McDonald, and we have Traffic Warden Supervisor C. Charles.
Yes.
They are followed by the military-led academic training program, MILAD.
And we have the MILAD detachment coming into view after the traffic wardens. And again, such a significant event for these young persons in MILAD, in the Scouts Association, comprising the Cub Scouts, the Scouts, and the Pathfinders. These youth organizations always want to be part of this society. We have the Red Cross Society as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, 110 years of its existence, the Scout Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
And they've been announced and they're marching past Her Excellency, and I'm feeling some chills, Lieutenant, because it is 110 years that the Scouting Association has been here.
And that is significant because the Cadet Force and the Scout Association that are both on parade here today actually predated independence. Those organizations were operating in Trinidad and Tobago long before independence, right? They're both over 100 years in existence, and that in itself is momentous.
And we have Pathfinders actually passing.
Yes, the Pathfinders right now are in view, giving the salute to Her Excellency. And this is the view of the unarmed contingents retaking their position on the rear half of the parade.
And while they retake their position, you already mentioned that there would be some individuals who actually take part in the route march only.
Yes, so we have the Pentecostal Crusaders. That is also a youth development organization. While they didn't come onto the parade square, they will be participating in the route march through Port of Spain to end in St. James Barracks. And the Independence Parade has really grown over the years, with different detachments coming on and becoming a part of the parade.
And we're getting a beautiful shot of those detachments as they have reformed and regained their positions.
Yes, so we have in view the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. And again, we mentioned that there's a particular order in terms of the detachments, and it relates to the senior service. So the armed detachments come first, and they are arrayed in terms of their seniority, and followed by the unarmed contingents. So the entire parade is very scripted and very precise.
We see a mounted personnel instilling some discipline there.
Yes, and we can imagine that those horses have a difficult time with the noise and the music and all the crowds.
And once again, as we see a shot of Her Excellency, and that also goes into the level of training, the intent or in the investment in these animals at this point in time.
And the ability of the horses to maintain that almost at attention position is quite remarkable, considering all that's going on around them.
So right now, as we see the shot of the parade square, we're going to have an advance and review order.
So the parade commander is going to instruct the parade to advance and review order. So the parade is going to march forward, and they are going to salute Her Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness a display by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service K9 Unit.
So we actually have
is led by Sergeant Jason
the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service K9 unit, who should be shortly coming into view.
Here we see them.
So this K9 unit assists with all law enforcement operations, particularly drug smuggling and possibly human trafficking operations. These animals are used by the police service. In the traditional way, they're used by law enforcement organizations throughout the world. And similar to the horses, we can see the level of discipline and training that these dogs have. Because the canines, we can imagine the amount of distraction with the noise and the crowd that they are experiencing, and yet are able to march with their handlers in such a very structured and precise formation.
And even the way that they're trained to respect the uniform, so that they say, okay, well, this is not the person I may normally be dealing with, but they are wearing this uniform, so I'll afford them this level of attention and respect.
Yes. And there's actually a very close relationship between the handlers and their respective dogs, their respective canines.
Turning on a dime.
So we see they're doing their formations to demonstrate the level of control and discipline that the animals have, which has a very real-world application in terms of law enforcement operations, because certainly in the field they need to be directed to very specifically to pick up scents, etc., of a contraband when doing searches. We see the handlers stopping to mark time and the canines stopping exactly with them. And the public loves this display, as you can hear from the applause.
We see there's a breed of choice with regard to the canine unit.
Definitely, and around the world, German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois, which are a similar family, tend to be the preferred breed for work of this type. They're very intelligent dogs, and they have a proven track record of trainability. So that is why they are used more than any other breed.
They're now marching past Her Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service K9 unit.
And the K9 unit as well is performing an eyes right and saluting Her Excellency as they march past. A shot again of the parade detachments.
And while the K9 unit is making way for the other units, I see we have, off the screen, I see we have an interloper.
Yes, and if you can imagine the level of discipline the canines have, because normally any stray dog would set off any other dog.
There we see said interloper.
Yes, and the crowd seems to be going wild for this interloper.
I think he's also lavishing the attention.
Indeed.
But while the K9 unit is making way to the right of your screen, you see the parade commander is just to the right of your screen, Captain Don Polo. So he has moved forward a bit.
Indeed. So the detachments now have the task of attempting to remain as still as possible. They're now dressing in open order. So they're taking back their pre-assigned positions on the parade square. To ensure that as you look down all the detachments, there's one single seamless line, and you won't have anyone standing forward or rear of the line out of position.
As you look to the background of your screen, you see the detachments dressing a little closer, but moving so on a level of audience, and we have a flyby.
That's right, the C-26B of the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard. Wow, that is extremely low, right over the parade. Right over the parade, and closely followed we have approaching, which we should get a shot of shortly, the helicopter.
There it is.
There it is, doing its fly pass. Also very low over the parade.
That shot of the helicopter with the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago in the foreground was just beautiful.
Indeed, indeed. So the AW-139 flying out of view now. So that fly pass was performed by the fixed and rotary wing aircraft of the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard, the air service formation of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Those aircraft are used for a range of duties, including ceremonial duties such as we've witnessed here today, troop transportation, special air operations, as well as in support of maritime protection and search and rescue operations, and operations in support of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment and Police Service. We are now expecting the drive past to occur shortly.
So we've seen Commander Don Polo. Captain Don Polo, parade commander.
Yes.
Give the instruction, and the detachments are now at ease.
So the detachments will be stood at ease while the front mechanized vehicles of the various services actually drive past. And in view we actually have another helicopter, National Security Operations Center aircraft, no doubt. So we now see the outriders for the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. And we have the helicopter flying past as well. And we have the mechanical transport officer taking the salute as he passes by, as his vehicle passes by Her Excellency. We have the various vehicles of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment.
And this is one of the interesting things, in the sense that sometimes when people think Defense Force services and these detachments, they don't necessarily consider these aspects. So looking at the screen, we see we have different implements being used as well and involved in the drive path.
Definitely. So we have what you would consider perhaps construction equipment. That would be the remit of the engineering battalion of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. They do a lot of civil engineering. They assist in terms of disaster relief operations, flooding, etc. Coming into view, we now have the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard.
And not in view as yet, but we can hear the engine. And yes, here's another helicopter.
And we have another aircraft from the National Security Operations Center.
While we can continue to see members of the Coast Guard passing.
And we have yet another helicopter. And the Coast Guard vehicles continue to drive past.
All driving past, Her Excellency.
So this display is a reflection of the capability of the Defense Force in terms of some of the assets it possesses and uses in doing its duties. And we have the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard coming into view.
Getting a shot of another utility vehicle.
Yes, so we have a wrecker, typical as you would have anywhere else, for the use and recovery of damaged vehicles or equipment, or the transportation of equipment that may not be able to drive on the roads, like a And we have the police service. Driving very close, riding as you were very, very close in very tight formation.
Which is an interesting thing because they're on their bikes and some people might say, okay, well, yes, it is easy to do, but it's not necessarily that easy.
No, indeed. That is very, very difficult if you think about you have to anticipate the movement of the person in front and keep a very consistent speed. And the police service vehicles are now driving past some of the vehicles. We have a HIAB in view, a utility vehicle.
We see waving flags in the background as the police are passing. Past Her Excellency.
And the crowd, the members of the crowd will love it. And we have now the fire service coming into view. And the fire service has a tradition of having some very spectacular rims on their vehicle that they transport officer. And there we see it in view. Some very shiny rims. And the officer takes his salute as he passes by Her Excellency. We have the fire service vehicles. Here we have the high lift. All the specialized vehicles of the fire service on display.
And after the drive past, we're now seeing that high lift that you're speaking about again. We should have the interagency precision drill, which is something that individuals also look forward to.
Definitely. Any precision drill is a thing of beauty to behold. A precision drill team is something that occurs without any words of command. So they memorize the movements, they're not given any words of command.
So we move on from police to fire. Now we have the prison service.
And the prison service as well seems to have outfitted their vehicle with some pretty spectacular rims. And there's almost a type of pearl glow to the paint on that particular vehicle. We can only imagine as a ceremonial vehicle used just for the purpose of the parade.
I can also imagine there's a level of friendly rivalry between these different detachments, different agencies to see how best they can represent themselves as they move past the president on this Independence Day parade.
Definitely. That is in fact the case, because in past years, the Coast Guard and the regiment and some of the other services were actually involved as well.
And it's something that can also lead to, I guess, bragging rights for the year.
Indeed. And it also evokes a particular response out of the audience.
And speaking of response, we're seeing members of the Red Cross actually driving past Her Excellency at this point in time.
Yes, so the Red Cross ambulances are now transiting past, as well as some of the other vehicles. So this is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a bit difficult to put rims on an ambulance, right? So these are very utility focused vehicles.
I prefer the reliability.
And the last Red Cross vehicle is passing the vehicle of Her Excellency.
Red Cross Society, a non-profit humanitarian organization with a mission of being mission-based, people-focused, community-driven.
And as they drive off the square, that is the end of the drive past. So we now expect the interagency precision drill team, which is comprised of members of several different
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness the precision drill of the interagency precision drill team, with a total of 85 persons from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. This team commenced training this routine on July 18th, 2022, and comprises an armed and unarmed display with over 2,000 precision drill movements. The team's age group ranges from persons 15 years old to 47 years old, and it is part of the Defense Force's Youth Developmental Program to have members of the Cadet Force involved in this drill display. The Defense Force remains committed to the molding and mentoring of our youth through various development programs, community outreach through civil, military operations, as well as career development initiatives, all with the goal of producing well-rounded, disciplined, loyal, nation-building citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The drill team is dressed in the retro wear of the services from yesteryear. Short pants and poppy socks with potty and gaiters. The drill team is commanded by 9133 Warrant Officer 1 Ricardo Sani of the regiment, and Detachment Second in Command 5920 Chief Petty Officer Michel Jarrett of the Coast Guard. After the words of command, "As for precision drill," commences issued, there will be no other commands until the end. So sit back and enjoy the display.
So the precision drill team is now center stage, comprising members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, the Trinidad and Tobago Prisons Service, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force. They have persons ranging in age from 15 years old to 47 years old. And as as is the case with a precision drill, there are no words of command save and except the first instruction, which goes as for precision drill, after which the team will essentially have to remember every single one of the more than 2,000 drill movements that they are going to perform here for us today.
I can only imagine the sense of responsibility that each member feels, both to themselves as members of the drill team as well as representing their individual rank, because we see it's a combined effort at this point in time.
Definitely, and no one wants to make any mistake. No one wants to not be able
Wednesday,
to shine. You know, everyone wants to perform well, not just for
from 7
themselves
p.m.
or their
to 9
organization,
p.m. on Facebook
their families,
and Instagram.
their friends looking
Hot
on.
off the press. Hot topics, no filter.
Shalom. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under commanding General Yohana will be on the street 91.9 FM every Monday from 7:05 p.m. to 8 p.m. bringing you the truth according to the Bible. The ISUPK is a non-profit faith-based community organization that will respond to the plagues that's affecting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We also have programs such as education, both adult and youth, food distribution, rehabilitation, both drug and alcohol, mentoring, counseling, and spiritual support. Remember, tune in every Monday on 91.9 FM, 7:05 p.m. Shalom.
Reggae Rock Sundays featuring MC Duke and Selector Kutchi present Reggae and Rockers. On board the Embassy Yacht on September 24th, Republic Night. Boarding 10 p.m. and sailing at 11 p.m. at the Hyatt Waterfront in Port of Spain. Get your reggae groove on. With top DJs, Selector Kutchi, Bruce Wayne, TC, and Heavy Duty. Early bird tickets cost $150. After that, you pay more, $175. For tickets, call Selector Kutchi at 777-7909 and MC Duke at 349-4121. Reggae and Rockers Republic Night. No oversized schoolers allowed. Don't miss it.
60 more. The Multimedia Outdoor Restaurant Experience. From September 1st to 4th, bring out the entire family to the Queen's Park Savannah to enjoy our Multimedia Outdoor Restaurant Experience. Enjoy our showcase of the diverse culture of our people and view the patriotic light show set against the backdrop of Whitehall, one of our magnificent 7 buildings. It all happens this September 1st to 4th from 7 to 9 p.m. This event is free to the public and all are welcome. Follow us at Forging Power TT on Facebook and Instagram for more details. 60 more. The Multimedia Outdoor Restaurant Experience.
Every Friday, it's all about Fire Mood Soca Fridays with MC Duke and Selector Kutchi from 6 straight to 9 p.m. blazing all the latest and past soca hits. So remember, make it a line, make it a day, rock and come in, you know. It's all about Fire Mood Soca Fridays on the Street 919 FM. You don't know.
Hi Trinidad and Tobago, this is yours truly, Pastor Charles, streaming live from Port of Spain, Trinidad, Marvel Road, 91.9.
Our services start from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning from the first, the second, and last Wednesday of the month.
We are going to have a T-R-M-E time in the presence of God. We will be praying, praise God, for our nation. We'll be praying for families. We'll be praying for those that are sick and those that are in need. Tune in to the best station, 91.5 FM Street Live, Port of Spain, Maribel.
If you're experiencing pain, constipation, headaches, poor blood circulation, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, swollen or darkened feet, come visit us at Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle offer a wide range of services. Come and experience our new 3D analyzer, which allows you to have a look inside your body. We also provide live blood analysis, iridology, ionic foot detox with foot soak and foot massage, aquatherapy, full body massage, and organic supplements on sale such as Nano Silver, Nano Zinc, Body Light, cold pressed sesame oil, and more. Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. For more information, call 275-8359 or 288-1108.
Join Nicole Huggins for Health and Wealth Lifestyle Tuesday morning from 11:05 to 12 noon. Right here on the street 919 FM.
This is Bishop Aaron Williams from the Divine Problem Solving International Ministries, inviting you to be part of our broadcast on any given Thursday night from 12 midnight right on to 5 a.m. on Friday morning. And this broadcast is called Early Morning Gospel Market Program. Then we have on Tuesday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. the Holy Ghost Gospel Pharmacy. If you are sick and ill and you could get from this particular pharmacy, from the pharmacist, the good things of life. Hallelujah. And any Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, break into the host of the Philistines. Hallelujah. If you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, hearing the babel of false doctrines that you encounter daily, it's about time you get close to God, God's word, direct from his throne room, in the name of Jesus.
God has good plans for his people. Why do you worry so much?
Good, that boat right looking like it real bad.
Are you ready for that boat experience again? The Sea Champion and the Embassy say, book with us for that unforgettable boat ride experience. Sea Champion leaving from King's Wharf, San Fernando, and the Embassy leaving from Breakfast Shed, Port of Spain, or Westside Trinidad. For more information, call 399-5959 to 814723 or email us at coralvisiontT@gmail.com. Book now and reserve your cruise.
Hey, that boat I look like it as well.
Going out and bad and the people better we causing trouble.
Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's radio. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on.
You are invited to join Pastors Morris and Agnes Johnson of the Church of the Firstborn Assembly Miracle Center, located at number 399 Eastern Main Road, Guayco in Sangre Grande, for the Old Time Gospel Hour Family Radio Ministry every Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., to the Children's Hour Worship Ministry of the Word and the Family Forum every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., The Law and You, and every Friday evening from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. All Night Prayer Live, designed with you in mind. This program deals with today's issues from a biblical perspective. You will also be given the opportunity to call in and interact with us. Micah 6:8 says, He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doeth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly and to love mercy and walk humbly with thy God. Your financial support through the First Citizens Bank will be greatly appreciated. Account number 795222. For further information, call 753-1113 or email us at church668hope@gmail.com.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
They want to do everyone proud. So the persons marching off are the senior members. and giving way to the team. They're going to take up station off to the side, and they're going to allow the team to carry through the movements. So we have Chief Petty Officer Michelle Jarrett in view, a training instructor from the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. And the instruction is being given to stand at ease.
I'm looking forward to this. It's 85 persons.
So the team comprises 85 persons from all the formations. They would be dressed in the uniforms that were traditionally used by the various services. And here we have the commencement of the display. And it's important to remember that every single movement being performed is occurring without any words of command.
So I think I want us to sit back and look at this themselves. More than 2,000 movements.
All who did not know me when I done, they gon' know the name. Million people coming down, dancing to a song. Love is life and life is love. Blessings from above. Can you feel the love dancing? When the beat let me hear you say dancing, moving, moving everywhere. If you feel it, let me hear you say na 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 na, eh na 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 na. Music sweet, music sweet. Oh na na na, do I do it better than music? Got to be terrific, got to be the one who created the sun and the trees, rivers and seas. So tough for my sweet Caribbean breeze. Feel the love when the wind start blow to the leaves. Nobody leaves with a law. Stay high, beg to come back. Please tourists all over the world feel a natural mystic. In a place that's so simplistic, but the culture so damn eccentric. And with this card that we show from history, is a mix of the world that define me. But it's a next kind of beat that we beating. And of the strength to be palms and feet it. Thank God we can tell this story. And now we live in the joy and glory. Through the songs that soca that feel we. Love everybody sing it out in a big train. I stand firm for the culture. Yeah, yeah. Private Ryan stand firm for the culture. Oh, oh.
If you cut me, you go see blood. And if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun. One nation under the law. So who feel the black? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's right till tomorrow night to feel the wrong. Who feel the right? Come and go. And all who feel the too bright. Bright, 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 bright. Let me jump up. Let me wind up. Party non-stop. Ramage tingle like a we come to play mass. Every creed and class. Don't let nothing pass. Like a ready me all the love inside the way. If you cut me, you go see blood. And if you squeeze me, you go feel the love. We are one people under the sun. One nation under the law.
We all are the blood, yeah. We all are the blood, yeah. We all are the blood, yeah. It's time that I do them on it. Do them on it. Everybody's coming in. We ready to go. Come make them jump. Come make them jump. Come make them mind. Come make them free up. This is the bacana. This is the good and the glad. This kind of vibe. I know where everybody else is. If you're coming down from the mountain, when you begin to see the song, give me something on. It's a fire ride. It's a fire ride. You can see the sun.
And we see so many things happening at this point in time while the movements are taking place. So yes, there's the precision movements of this drill, but there are also the musical selections. So even starting off with Freetown Collective, Feeling the Love, at this the Diamond Jubilee. Also looking at that tribute to One Shadow with Urfanals with Dingole, and then Dexter Black Stewart.
And definitely the music has been arranged by a combination of arrangers within the different bands of the services. The senior arranger being Major Kester Francis of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. And we have a wide selection of composers and arrangers that would have adapted these musical accompaniments that we're hearing here today. It's interesting to note that traditionally the music is arranged by serving musicians within the bands themselves. And this year's selection for the inspection was a tribute to the nation's 60th anniversary. The music tells a story of significant historical events from the time of the Declaration of Independence to the present day. And it's titled Star and Shield. It was composed by Major Kester Francis, the senior director, and he's on parade today and features the tunes God Bless Our Nation, Our Lands of Suns and Seas, The More We Are Together, I'm 95, My Army, and The Last Post, to name a few.
And while we're looking at this, we're also looking at what it is we're seeing on our screens in the retro wear. So we have individuals in short pants and poppy socks. We're also seeing some gauges.
Yes, so those white items around the upper part of their footwear, the boots, and the lower part of the trousers are called gaiters, and that would have been part of the original kit in years gone by, as well as the white coralline belts that you see around some of their waists. And all of these items would have actually been part of the uniforms in years gone by. The white gloves themselves, not necessarily so. That is an item used for precision drill displays like this, and you'd see that it gives a lot more visibility.
Definitely. So in terms of peripheral vision, so you don't necessarily want to be looking towards what you want to see, but to be able to align your movements with that of the person next to you.
Exactly. So the instructors would use it as a technique to highlight the movements of the hands and arms.
And while we're looking at these spirited movements, I mean, we're seeing the work that has gone into this play called Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence.
So these services would have been rehearsing for a considerable period of time to be able to get to this point. They would have been rehearsing since earlier in this year, last month. The team would have been brought together and taken off any other duties to focus on being able to present the spectacle that we see unfolding before us here now.
And once again, listening to the message of the music as it ties into the actions of the precision drill. So much has taken place during this pandemic, but at the same time, life is still here for many of us, and that is being celebrated here at the Queen's Park Savannah this Independence morning.
Exactly. And the musical composition and the drill display, they're all intended to highlight that light at the end of the tunnel and that emergence from that national trial that would have been the pandemic.
And once again, we're seeing members of representing the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, the police service, the fire service, prison service, as well as the TNT Cadet Force.
All working together, persons from many different organizations working together in unison towards presenting this spectacle here for us today.
And now I see we have a little, in the same way we have the visit of Prime Minister Holness, we also had a little interlude from Barbados, Gabby with boots. And these are these items of music inviting this sense of nostalgia. This one here by Explainer showing some sharing some of those energies that are present in Trinidad and Tobago, and specific times that we want to be here.
And certainly the music was selectively identified to convey exactly that. You know, we have a lot of historic pieces that would have been adapted by the musical bands and that are actually being played on parade for the inspection or for the march past, etc. And it takes the discerning ear to be able to pick it out. But certainly we have a musical culture and people are very appreciative of all of the effort that would have gone into that side of it as well.
365 days I say, God is a Trinity, God is a Trinity. From Sando to Togo, from Port of Spain to Piaco, God is a Trinity, God is a Trinity. All inside and Tobago, from Bacalet to the Sambro.
So we have the precision drill team having performed the precision drill that they would have been rehearsing for the past month plus. They've now come around the parade square and are approaching Her Excellency to accord her that highest respect and to perform the eyes right and salute her as they march past.
And once again, looking at the work that would have gone into this is a group of 85 persons, and they commenced training on this routine July 18 of this year. And we're seeing the armed version, well, the armed cohort in front as well as the unarmed behind them. And we have ages ranging from 15 years to 47.
Execution of military precision and skill. Performing the fancy drills were young members of the TNT Cadet Force, Lance Corporal Rene Felix, Private Kyra Kutam, and Private Patrick Symphony of the 5th Battalion of the Cadet Force. All movements seen here today were under the tutelage of 6286 Petty Officer Thurston Allen, Coast Guard, 31001 Sergeant Noel Johanse, Air Guard, 2828 Fire Station Officer Shuin Kwashi, Fire Service, and 6818 Leading Shipwright Lendor Akhenaton, Coast Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, give it up for the Interagency Drill Team.
Rightly so, as they move past Her Excellency.
And the crowd is very appreciative here of not just the precision drill, but also the accompaniment in terms of the music.
And as they march off, I'm sure they are proud within themselves, thinking that they gave a good account of their efforts, of the work that would have been put into that.
And DK, definitely, I think the overwhelming emotion that the members of that drill team are feeling right now is pride. Happy that they've come out, they've done their best, and they've made their organizations proud.
The interagency drill team exits. I now draw your attention to your left, the parade square. The mounted branch, the mounted escort are in position for the truck pass.
So as the drill team marches off, we will have the mounted branch form up to perform their traditional trot past, to also accord Her Excellency their salute. Again, the discipline of the horses is quite remarkable when you consider the amount of noise. Yeah, we have the eyes right, that's right. And they're passing Her Excellency, saluting Her Excellency as they ride past.
So even looking at the position of the saber on with the eyes right, and then moving it back to position after you pass Her Excellency.
Yes, so those officers holding those swords, or saber as you refer to them, we call them swords.
I'm not going to say, okay, the saber is the one that has the curve.
That's right. So
thank you.
So they are the first division or the commissioned officers of the respective services, and they are in command or in second in command of the respective detachments. And it's the same with the mounted branch. So the ones bearing the lance would be the second division officers, and the ones with the swords would be the first division officers.
And I feel it's almost as though they're saying we're not to be outdone by the K9 unit or the special drill, precision drill contingent that would have just passed.
Definitely.
Because they are going through their own maneuvers at this point in time.
Definitely.
And when you think of the fact that you're dealing with these animals that, yes, there's a level of training, but at the same time they can be skittish depending on the thing, on the situation, so they're working with them. And then they're also holding their lances.
Exactly.
So they only have one hand in addition to being able to use their legs to apply pressure as the situation dictates. It makes it even more remarkable.
Yes, it's a very, very skillful act to be able to perform a parade while mounted, and I mean the horse itself is a big part of that for sure. You know, a lot of these animals are actually veterans on parade as well. You know, they've done many independence parades in years past.
It's almost as though it's an art and a science, but it also goes back to that level of communication and that relationship between the horse and its rider.
Yes. And the mounted branch also facilitates senior commissioned officers of the Defense Force to also learn to ride. For instance, the parade commanders, etc., that are also mounted.
Look at that improvement on that time. And even like the fact that some of the horses, they were literally touching each other to turn on that is something that is just so remarkable.
Indeed, and the ability to form so quickly back up from making a turn is remarkable if you consider. And we have here the petty officer approaching the President's standard. So the mounted branch, on completion of their display, would march off to the side and await the advance and review order, when they would then reassume their escort of Her Excellency off the parade. And we see here they're formed up and awaiting the final elements of the parade to be performed. So the parade commander is shouldering the arms of the armed detachments in preparation for the advance and review order.
Please stand for the advance and review
Yeah,
order.
we have the detachments advancing to perform a presidential salute.
During the playing of the national anthem.
So that would have been an advancement of, I think, 14 paces?
Yes, 14 pieces, halt, and now the performance of a presidential salute.
once again, we see the training and discipline that has gone into the mounted branch. And even we got a shot while those explosions were taking place. And you see the horses reacting, but at the same time, it's almost as though they expect this.
Definitely, and you're quite right. I mean, it's entirely remarkable. Those explosions would have startled even military persons on parade. I could remember having been on parade and hearing that. It is very startling.
And this is something that you're hearing, but you're also feeling.
Yes, you feel the shock of the explosion. And having given the presidential salute, we'll shortly see the mounted branch making their way across to take up position with Her Excellency's vehicle in anticipation of the departure.
The mounted branch will take up their position of escort and return Her Excellency to her residence.
So we have Her Excellency Pauline Weeks, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, accompanied by the Chief of Defense Staff, Her Excellency Dekar, and her mounted escort departing at this point in time.
Yes. So this marks the ceremonial end of the parade when the principal office holder departs, and we would now have, after the departure of all the dignitaries, the parade commander would then do his final words, would give his final words of command.
The departure of the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
So the escort is just marching out of view. And we have the other dignitaries as well departing.
This dignitary in particular, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, who has witnessed and has a tale to tell, looking at the parade in commemoration of 60 years of independence in Trinidad and Tobago, having already experienced the Independence Day festivities, or festival rather, in Jamaica on the 6th of August.
Indeed, and it is important as a nation perhaps that we mark these events in a very significant and tangible way.
Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley.
So we have the Prime Minister of Jamaica departing, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and shortly the departure of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley as well.
So basically reverse order to the way that they would have arrived.
Exactly. So in exactly the opposite order that they would have arrived, they will now depart.
So we have the audience outside looking on, and some people are moving as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley.
And no doubt some of those persons are moving off to get a good vantage point on the route. After this segment of the parade here, the troops are going to be marched off and prepared to march through Port of Spain to terminate in St. James Barracks. So it's a tradition to get a good viewing point somewhere along the route where you are able to perhaps see some family member or friend that you may know who is involved in the parade.
Yeah, you're always looking to be able to have that vantage point, especially if you may not be the tallest, or you're looking at where it is you want to be at that point in time, looking for that family member, or that relative, or that friend, that colleague that you know.
Or perhaps simply a favorite service.
So now we have the acting Chief Justice. He is getting ready to make his departure. The Honorable Mr. Justice Nolan Bureau.
Departure of the Honorable Fitzgerald Hines, Minister of National Security.
And we have the crowd standing in observance, waving at us, enjoying. They know they're on the screen.
And definitely some individuals, they wait for till the final drop. The entire ceremony is finished, as we're seeing Minister of National Security,
ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Bidding audio to the Chief Protocol Officer
until the marching of the troops and their colors.
As the Honorable Fitzgerald Hines, the Minister of National Security, and Mrs. Margaret Hines are leaving. And this is all against the backdrop of the contingent and detachments still at attention on the parade square.
Yes, so off screen, the entire parade is at attention and observing the departure of the dignitaries. They will remain at attention for this period out of a mark of respect for the departure of all these office holders. And on the departure of the minister, the parade commander will then proceed with the remainder of this portion of the parade before the parade itself proceeds out onto the streets of Port of Spain.
And while the dignitaries are leaving, and you see in the background, you have that movement of the crowd who are trying to take up the vantage point, juxtaposed with those who are, and some already have their vantage point, while bedecked in national colors of red, white, and black. But here we see in the square, and we see that movement taking place.
Yes, so the parade commander is giving what would be some of his last words of command on the parade square before they proceed around and off of the parade square, where they would prepare to do the route march through Port of Spain, which is the traditional route march that occurs with every independence.
Well, we give thanks for the weather that we've been having.
Beautiful weather, beautiful sunny day, especially given some of the rainfall that we've had recently.
As the band is marching out into their position. But while we have the weather, we also give thanks that we haven't seen any instances of the members of the detachment needing any help or assistance, because like you said, there would be members who this would be their first time, in addition to the fact that there would be entire groupings that this would be their first time on an event such as this. And you want it to be the best that you can be. So like even when we were looking at and as we're seeing the colors right now, but even when we were looking at the precision drill and they see they're walking off and they see these furtive smiles because they don't want to have the full broad smile until they're out of the view shot of individuals.
Well, once you're on the parade square, you're center stage, right? You are part of the spectacle. You cannot, there's to be no, unscripted movement or even expression. And you're quite right. A lot of these persons in these organizations we see here before us, they may have joined in the more recent times, just prior to the pandemic or during the pandemic even, and they've never had this experience. And then when you consider so many of these youth organizations also involved in the unarmed section, there are a lot of young people as well, and they've done extremely well to be able to bear the rigors of this parade and the temperature.
And we also see there was a person on the snare drum marking time for people to move with one accord. We also see steel pan. As part of this contingent.
Yes, this is the police service band. So the bands would have been the four of the bands, which is the regiment band and corps of drums, the police service band, the prison service band, and the fire service band would have been performing in unison during the parade here in the square. And persons may not have even identified that there are actually four different bands performing as the mass band under the leadership of and the directorship of Major Kester Francis. But when they go out, they are actually going to be joined by some other bands as well. The Scouts band, the Pathfinders band, just to name a couple, and they are going to intersperse between the detachments. And the bands play a critical role to keeping the detachments in time, in stepping in time, marching in time in the beat. Because when you're out there with the amount of noise and distraction in the streets, and sometimes even the public, in the eagerness to get a good view, may encroach upon the road, which is the parade route, and you may have some challenges navigating. And as a result, the bands are very, very, very critical to keeping everyone in time and keeping that military display.
So that's something that makes you appreciate it even more when you look at the fact that, as opposed to just, okay, well, this is one band, there are four bands, and they've actually not had much time to prepare. The band members themselves have other jobs, so they would have had very hectic schedules leading up to the independence. So they have had very limited time to be able to come together and practice, which is essential to any good performance. And they say the detachment has actually turned to the right, so they're ready to march off. They're getting ready, and we're looking forward to this, both armed and unarmed detachments.
Definitely, they will take the same order as they did the march past, with the number 1 detachment, Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, leading. So the front half, or the armed half of the parade, will march off and come around and go off of the parade square or the parade ground, and then they would be followed by the unarmed rear half.
And we just saw a shot of one of the band members, in addition to the snare drums as well, steel pans. I also saw a tassa being used.
So the regiment band and corps of drums is very multidisciplinary. They don't only have typical orchestra type instruments, they also have our local instruments as well, culturally appropriate instruments, and it all comes together for some beautiful renditions. And we see the band
and we hear the song that's being played, right? Happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you, Trinidad and Tobago, and we want to thank you for sharing your Independence morning with us here on TTT as we are looking at this parade commemorating our Diamond Jubilee, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, 1962 to 2022. First parade in 2 years from, it was 2019.
The last parade would have been 2019. The pandemic years had nothing, and so we have the female detachment of the regiment in view with the SMGs, and then we have following them the Coast Guard male detachment.
Please stand for the marching out of the colors.
And you look at the faces of these individuals, and it's already been quite a while. They've been standing on parade, they've marched on, and now they have the route to march through Port of Spain until they get to St. James Barracks, which is where they would fall out. The female detachment of the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard colour in view, followed by the female detachment.
And that Coast Guard colour, I believe, is Sub-Lieutenant Kareem Clunas.
That's right, Sub-Lieutenant Clunas. He's a seaman officer. And we now have the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard marching past. The first detachment, as with the others, is the male detachment, followed by the color party in the middle, protected by the detachments on either side, and bringing up the rear, the female detachment.
And that detachment commander would be Flight Lieutenant Karen Francois.
Yes.
Base maintenance officer at the Ulrich Cross Air Station and the Komodo Air Base. So we have another band coming up now, but before them though,
we have the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves with their distinctive red berets. They are marching off.
The detachment commander is Captain M. Wright.
Yes, an officer of the regiment, and the detachment second in command is Sub-Lieutenant Figaro, an officer from the Coast Guard. So we now have the police service band.
And the officer in charge for this detachment is Superintendent Curtis Simmons, a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service for the past 37 years. And we see some fancy work with these instruments, things that people have put in and they have not been able to show, to display, to share with the country for the last 2 years.
Definitely, and there's a lot of work, and it's not something that you can really prepare for in a month or so. What we are witnessing here, especially in the case of the critical persons, is really a career of devotion to duty and training and practice and experience.
And even looking at, talking about culturally appropriate instruments, and we saw one member of the TPS band actually playing a djembe as well, and that is a different dynamic, because whereas a lot of the other instruments were stick instruments, he's using his hands.
Yes, and that is something that our bands are known for as well. Coming into view, we now have the Cadet Force Band.
As we celebrate, we are announcing that a mom has accepted
what is taking place?
3-year-old daughter wearing a red top. If you see a 3-year-old girl wandering by herself, please bring her up to the back by the announcer's booth.
So what is taking place is that the bands are out of view of the camera. The ones that were not on the parade square are actually coming into the parade as they march off to take up their positions, so that they are in the right sequence when it is time for the road march. Again, the cadet service, the cadets we are witnessing here, observing here, are actually children. These are not adults, except for perhaps the director of music, but they are actually children. So they have been taught, and they've been playing instruments while marching, and when you consider the investment in time and training, it's really considerable. Coming into view, we now have the fire service band. And the fire service band has taken up their